It's knowing that your door is always open and your path is free to walk. It makes me tend to leave my sleeping bag rolled up and stashed behind your couch. It's knowing I'm not shackled by forgotten words and laws and the ink stains that have dried upon some line. That keeps you in the back roads by the rivers of my memory. That keeps you ever gentle on my mind. It's not clinging to the rocks and ivy painted on their columns now that bind me. Or something that somebody said because they thought we'd fit together walking. It's not knowing that the world will not be cursing or forgiving when I walk around the railroad track and find that you're moving on the back roads by the rivers of my memory, and hours you're just gentle on my mind. Though the wheat fields and the clotheslines and the junkyards and the highways come between us, and some other woman's crying to her mother 'cause she turned and I was gone, I still might run in silence, tears of joy might stain my face, and the summer sun might burn me till I'm blind. But not to where I cannot see you walking on the back roads by the rivers flowing gentle on my mind. I dip my cup of soup back from a gurgling, crackling cauldron in some train yard. My beard a rustling towel and a dirty hat pulled low across my face. Through cup hands round the tin can, I pretend to hold you to my breast and find that you're waiting from the back roads by the rivers of my memories, ever smiling, ever gentle on my mind. Monday evening, everybody. Chris McDonald with you on this Monday night, the 4th day of March, 2024, 3424. Almost sounds like my guest. Very prophetic, very numeric. The one and only, the comically incorrect AF Tony Branco. I got your name right this time. I caught grief last time. We grew up in Georgia. They don't teach you the difference in your F's and your R's. So I had AR on the whole program. So everybody's wondering, who the hell is AR Tony Branco? No, I didn't know either. So we got you right this time.
I've been called worse, that's for sure.
I'm sure. Yes, I know you've been called worse than I have too. Trust me. Trust me.
Look at my email sometimes.
Well, we might have to share a beer over those emails and some of the names we've been called, Branco. Let's just say it like that tonight. Yeah. It's good to see you, buddy. It's been a while. I think this is your 2024 debut. We hadn't had you since the first of the year.
That's right.
So, welcome to 24. I tell you what, I've had weird weekend, had stomach virus, and feeling better a little bit tonight, but I just it's stuff's going around. It's that time of the year, It's that time of the year when vomiting is normal. And if you think of our government, you know, I'm reminded of the, you know, people don't remember this. I was a big Carson fan. I love Johnny Carson. And he had a young Joey Lawrence. He was probably 6 years old. And he was sitting beside Carson. And Carson said, he leaned over one night and he said, he was talking, Joey was talking about all the shows he watched. And he said, well, do you ever watch my show? And Joey looked at him and said, well, I was up one night vomiting. and the audience sort of caught on what Joey Lawrence was saying. So, you know, McFiles vomiting, you know, it sort of, you know, it goes hand in hand. So I'm just saying. But it's good to see you, buddy. Listen, I've got a great title for our show tonight, that the Supreme Court, Trump slaps the liberals down tonight, and that's what I wanted to bring you on. I'm going to show folks some of your cartoons. By the way, for those of you that don't know who Tony is, he is an award-winning cartoonist. He's my dear friend. Known each other a couple of years now, 3 years almost. He's been coming on our show regularly, and we always love talking with him about things. And but you know, this whole effort, Tony, to derail Trump off of the ballot, and we'll talk a lot of politics tonight because I want to talk about Nikki Haley with you. You've got a great cartoon with her half her arms off and the GOP voters, and she says, "Oh, it's just a scratch." You know, I understand she won D.C. over the weekend, and she's acting like this is a victory lap. Well, I had to tell her, the Trump supporters, we're glad she won D.C. because that's swamp country. We didn't want to win it anyway. But no,
right,
but
Queen of the Swamp.
Queen of the Swamp. But today, the Supreme Court, and I love what you told me before the show. You're absolutely right. But it did something constitutional, and it was 9-0. There was no split down the middle. It wasn't liberals, conservatives. It wasn't Trump's, Trump appointees, Obama appointees. All 9 of them voted 9-0. That Colorado was marijuana induced when it was basically trying to take Trump off the ballot for no reason other than just politics. And they claimed that he led an insurrection, which there's never been a charge. Look, even Jack Smith's case, Tony, has never used the word insurrection. Jack Smith is just saying, I'm not sure exactly, conspiracy and all this crap, but he's trying these legal terms that he's using. But President Trump's not been charged with insurrection.
No.
So
Nope.
we got to win today, and I think that brings an end to Nevada and Illinois' efforts. And I think there's about 7 other states out there that had thought about doing it, and I hope that this sends them a message that, you're just wasting our time and the taxpayers' money, and it's going to wind up in the Supreme Court. They're going to do the same thing to you. They're going to Trump slap you, and I use the word Trump slap instead of a word I want to use. But this is a family show, and I got Tony Branco on the show tonight with me.
You can use the word bench
slap. Yeah, that's a great. I just gave you the inspiration for the next comically incorrect cartoon.
Absolutely. I don't want to rain on your parade there, but I have a cartoon with that theme on it tomorrow, so stay tuned.
Stay tuned. I will post it personally in our Telegram room. I'm going to stop talking. Welcome to the
title of it is bench slap. So
good deal.
Speak of the devil.
Speak of the devil. I was good. I'm good.
Yeah.
What say you about all this tonight, buddy? It's a good day for America. It's a good day for America.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Great day for America. I always said before, I said this to you before, that if it wasn't a 9-0, it would give the left a lot of, they would say, well, it was a lean to the right, or they would have that one judge that made it look, gives them an out.
Exactly.
But if it's 9, doesn't give them out.
They had no out.
They still take it. They still try to make an excuse for it. You had what's that sportscaster? Gosh, I can't think of his name.
Stephen Smith.
He was in a rage.
Stephen Smith. Stephen J. Smith.
No, he was
Bob Costas. Bob Costas was
what is it? Gosh, I had it right on the tip of my tongue. Every time I do that, I'll blame it on age.
Okay.
But anyway, he was pontificating about how the Supreme Court is a bunch of fascists and all this stuff. He was going on and on and on. It's always fascists if they don't get their way, although they're the ones that are doing all the fascism. They're the ones trying to silence people. They're the ones trying to knock people off the ballot. Yet every time something goes against their will to be a fascist, they call fascist. They're trying to they're protecting democracy while trying to kill democracy. It's amazing how they can just take something and twist it around to where it doesn't make any sense, and that they're blaming people for doing exactly what they're doing.
What they're doing, Tony. Absolutely. And let me just interject this. I'll let you keep talking. Do you not believe tonight they would be freaking burning Trump effigies in New York City Square tonight had this Supreme Court ruled that he's off that ballot? Do you not think this liberal left would have been praising the Supreme Court for its standing up to that evil Trump? Thank God we got a court that stands up to Trump. This hogwash about this fascist court.
Protecting democracy.
Give me a break. Give me a break. And I don't know what sportscaster it is. The only sports he needs to be broadcasting is women's underwater polo lessons or something. Basket weaving.
Yeah.
Underwater basket weaving. That's what he needs to be broadcasting. Go ahead.
Absolutely. I don't have anything really to add to that other than they always do what they always accuse people of doing what they are doing themselves. And the fact that they're protecting democracy by kicking somebody off the ballot is just beyond. And people are seeing through it too. They're able to dissect between the words. You have MSNBC, CNN, and CBS too, ABC, all protecting Biden and protecting the Democrats.
Without a doubt.
All the time while they're trying to kick a guy off the ballot, trying to censor conservatives. Yeah, it's just no longer it's no longer the America that I remember as far as the media goes. The media's always leaned a little bit left, but now they've just kind of just falling completely over to almost a Stalinist Pravda type organizations.
I'm not a betting man, but I guarantee you tomorrow on The View, Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar, and I don't even know the other nincompoops, morons that are on there, but they're going to, again, decry this, like you just said, as a fascist move. And I heard Whoopi say it Friday on a clip. I don't watch the crap, but she said that this was a bad look for the Supreme Court. No, it was a bad look for the Colorado Secretary of State, who was out there crying crocodile tears today and saying, I'm so disappointed about this. And again, Tony, there's no crime. Look, buddy, we're sort of making light of it. This is a serious matter, and I'll tell you why. I'm going to deal with the border. I've got your border cartoon up here in a minute. We have got far more serious problems tonight than we could ever imagine with the border. We've got a nation sinking into an economic abyss that we're not going to come back from. We've got a nation sinking into a moral abyss we're not going to come back from. We've got a nation sinking into, I feel like it's a morale issue. I look at what happened. I was thinking about this the other day. I love the movie Miracle with Kurt Russell about the hockey team. And when I get down about our country, I do. I pull it out and I'll watch it because I remember those days. I was a teenager just in getting into high school. I was a freshman in high school, sophomore, when this happened. And I remember the country, even then, how bad things were under Jimmy Carter. And the morale of this nation was as low as it's ever been. The Russians were invading Afghanistan. We were powerless in Iran. We had a weak president, just like we've got tonight. He would not do anything. He was hell-bent on liberalism. He was hell-bent on taking the country left. He was hell-bent on everything else, and he was destroying her. Hell, we were paying $20 a gallon at the gas then in the 70s. People don't remember it. Yeah. The Arab oil embargo ought to have bankrupted this country. And we've got the same thing tonight. But the only thing these liberals have in their little crawl is that President Trump is going to be on a ballot, a constitutional ballot, to vote. This is their hill that they're crying crocodile tears over, and they don't give two blanks in the wind about the state of the nation, Tony. That's more scary to me than this crap, even in Colorado.
Absolutely. It is absolutely scary, and I can't believe, they want to decide who you can vote for. And they want to deem, communism. Okay, this guy, we don't like this guy, so we're going to throw everything at him. We're going to do a lawfare. We're going to do whatever we can do to get him off that ballot so you can't vote for him because we don't like him. We're going to conjure up some kind of legality like insurrection, which he was never convicted of insurrection.
Never was, no.
But you go back to Carter. The difference between now and Carter. Carter was, I think, had a good heart. He was a good man. He just was kind of a weak leader.
Weak leader. That's a good point.
And Biden is corrupt.
He is so corrupt.
The Democrats are corrupt. The rhinos are corrupt. And this is all, what we have to understand is that this is all done purposefully. They're doing this on purpose. They're opening this border on purpose. They are replacing, I believe, they're trying to replace votes. They're losing the black vote. They're losing the working man vote. They're losing a lot of different segments of the voting population. They need to fill that back up. And wonder why they don't want voter ID and they don't want signature verification. With all these people coming up, you know, it just makes perfectly good sense to me why they want to open borders and no signature verification and no voter ID.
I'm glad you brought that up because people may not realize this tonight. That's exactly what AG Merrick Garland went out there and said over the weekend. He said that they're pushing that there be no ID allowed. Nobody can require you to show an ID to vote. And brother, I'm telling you something, Tony, you're right. This is freaking on purpose. You know, your cartoon up there, you got Moron Orcus and the Dems and the Republicans. And I'm glad you put the Republicans in this too because they're just as culpable. They trashed the border policies of Trump. While not correcting everything, it did slow illegal immigration down to a point that at least the border agents could do their job. I was down there twice during the Trump years. I was down there once right after Biden got elected. It was like night and a universe day. I'm telling you, the attitude of the border agents, the danger down there. That third time I went, I wasn't nervous the first two times. The second time, a little bit because we were in a different part of Texas. But that third time I went, and I went downtown to downtown McClellan, and I was watching these Catholic charities put people on these buses, and I was watching these people come out and just, and I was even getting called by people saying, hey, we're here in Chatter. They know you're down there. They know y'all are down there. Get out of there. Look, it shook me up, man. This is America. But you're right. And that cartoon tonight where they trashed the policies that were working, and then Joe Biden's out there saying all clear to the illegals to come over to the tune. I heard a figure yesterday or day before, 18 million. There's a possibility that by the end of this year, since Joe Biden has taken over, just 4 years ago, 18 million, Tony.
At minimum.
That's a minimum.
Because
that's
they
unreal.
Have no idea how many gotaways.
That's a great point.
Come on. But you make up a great point about them trashing the Trump policies.
Yes.
And they're always saying, well, the Congress needs to do something. Well, you trashed the policies that were stopping it. So why don't you go from the other end? Why don't you put back in place the Trump executive orders and then talk to Congress about fixing things?
He ain't going to do it.
They're not going to do it. They don't want to do it.
He ain't going to do
it. They could do it. They could stop that border right now. Trump did. He had it stopped. They don't want to stop it. They want to. What they're doing now is they're trying to blame Trump for the border. They're trying to blame Congress. See how they flip things around. They're trying to blame the Republicans in Congress for not acting on the border to stop it. They don't want to stop it. They just want to blame the Republicans and keep it open.
Without a doubt. And you got another cartoon because it brings up another issue that they never talk about, that Biden and his piece of you-know-what press secretary always diverts conversation. Look, I don't like Fox. I'm not a big fan of Fox, but I have to say Ducey and the other girl, Jackie Heinrich, or whatever his name is, they at least try to hold John Lean Pierre, whatever her name is, at least somewhat to the fire. Yeah. Now, these other networks don't. They at least ask some smart questions. I'll give them that. They ask some smart questions. Now, whether it's because of window dressing, I'll leave people to believe that. But Lincoln Riley, a young lady from my home state of Georgia at the University of Georgia campus, gets slaughtered. Not murdered, but slaughtered. And mutilated. Her skull was absolutely crushed. And they're saying that this man, this Argentinian or Venezuela, wherever he was from, illegal. Exactly, Venezuela. He was here illegally, and he had been let go in New York. We had Jennifer Harrison on here last Thursday night. He started his trail of terror in New York, where they let him go. And by the way, we got an update tonight I'll share with you in a minute about the punk that shot the bird. There's going to be no charges to that illegal that basically flipped off America here 2 weeks ago. But you got a great cartoon. Joe Biden's hands is bleeding, his open border policies. But as you say, the Democrats are telling us this is not Joe Biden's fault. This is Trump's fault. And this is Congress's fault. No, Joe, that blood of that girl is on you.
Yes, it is.
Because that Venezuela didn't come in during Trump's time, Tony. He came in during Biden's time.
And if they had come in on Trump's time, you knew Trump was doing everything he could to stop them from coming in, which is different from Biden. That's a good name for him because he is just an extension of the Obama.
That's a good point.
You know that phrase that the left always likes to use? If it saves but one life. They usually use that when they're talking about gun control. But if it just saves one life, well, where are you now with Lake and Riley? If it saves one life, you don't care about saving lives. You care about votes, and just leave it there.
Where do you think this ultimately ends? Because I don't see, and look, I got a tough question for you tonight because I don't want to be pessimistic. Right. I'm a very positive person. I have tried to look at every scenario that I can on how this can be fixed. And I've talked to some great people down along that border. I've talked to sheriffs. I've talked to border agent people. I've talked to people that do this for a living, and their pay grade's a lot higher than mine. They do this as talking points, and they know their stuff when it comes to the border. And I don't have a one of them that gives me any hope that even if, and so this is the horror of it, if Trump gets back in here tomorrow, Tony, and he would literally have to come back tomorrow for us to have any, because we're in March, so we're at least, let's see, Georgia math, 3 and 8, 8 months from the election. We are 10 months from Trump taking office in January. And you've got this onslaught, this train wreck that is basically coming in, and Joe Biden going down there and window dressing the other day in Brownsville, which is a complete joke. But, buddy, are we at a point of no return where it doesn't matter what Trump does or doesn't do? Are we so screwed that these people, because, see, you mentioned the getaways. I don't know if we had to deport these people. We could, because we couldn't find them. What's your thoughts on that tonight? I'm not trying to be pessimistic, because I believe.
Well, you're trying to be realistic.
Thank you.
There's a difference between optimistic, pessimistic, and realistic. And realistic is that we have thousands and thousands of people that are in this country from countries that don't like us very much. We have military-aged men coming across the border from China, Chinese nationals with nice clothes, money, and cell phones, and they get released into the. We don't know where they're going. We don't know if they're going to a safe house that's got a bunch of AR-15s stashed in it. We have no idea what's going on. And you know what? The Democrats never use common sense. They're always focused on politics, the politics of it, the common sense of, they don't look at everything. It's like the EV situation. It's like the electric car situation. They don't extrapolate their thinking out past what they want politically. And it's costing people their lives. It's costing people their livelihoods. The global warming is taking on its own life. They don't look beyond anything. They don't care about the science. They don't care about the realities of what's happening at the border and the dangers of it. All they got focused on is votes. We can get these people to come in and fill out ballots and not have to verify the signatures, or eventually they'll vote. We're losing the worker force, we're losing the black vote, we're losing the Hispanic vote, so we need more people to come in and vote. And that's all they're thinking about. And I think that at some point, and I'm not trying to be pessimistic, I'm trying to be realistic. At some point, this is going to hurt us in a bad way. And it may not happen within the next few months. It may happen when Trump is president.
I know. I think
these
so.
Cells, these walking cells, they call them
Great
now.
point, Tony.
It may happen, and then they'll blame Trump for not doing something about it. And the fact is that I don't know what we can do about it now. But we need to hang on. We need to just keep fighting, and we need to hang on where all this is coming from and why, and not stop. And I've said this to a lot of my friends. If Trump wins the presidency and we win the Senate and we win the Congress, we can't stop. We got to keep going, because a lot of times what Republicans and conservatives have done in the past is they win. They say, okay, we won now. We everything's good. We can go back to our jobs and our family and our churches, which is what you should do. But they have a tendency to kick back and rest on their laurels. Democrats and leftists and liberals never do that. They keep fighting. Even if they win, they keep fighting.
So
they
true,
keep
Tom.
going and going. Look what Pelosi did. She did to advance her causes. She never stopped. And we need somebody in the Senate and in the Congress that fights like Pelosi fought for the evil side. And we as voters can't stop. You can't stop what you're doing. Chris, you can't stop what you're doing. I can't stop what I'm doing. And none of the activists out there should stop.
No, got to keep fighting, man. And that's
even
what
if we win, we got to keep going.
Absolutely, and that's what I've been trying to preach and scream, sometimes very loudly, sometimes on this network. I've gotten the term "angry man," one of my many titles that are out there. But no, I'm not angry, Tony. I'm passionate. Look, I care for my country, man. I love America, and I hate to see this train wreck. And I guess what frustrates me are these worthless politicians. And, you know, I look at Mayorkas in that cartoon, and, you know, the media covered for him, the Republicans covered for him. We couldn't even impeach somebody that has basically lit the fuse to do this. It's Biden's the puppet leader, make no mistake. And I think Obama, Susan Rice, all that bunch is behind it. I get it, Soros. But, you know, Mayorkas is the Homeland Security Director, and it ultimately starts with him. But we can't even get him out of office, minimum, till January. And I go back to this. If this influx keeps, and I'm going to throw something out to you. This is a little complicated question. I've had people raise this question to me. Do you think this is leading us to civil war? Because I think what's going to happen, look, what's happening in New York is frustrating New Yorkers. It's frustrating. Even the liberals are beginning to see the light. Maybe not the light, but they're tasting their own medicine. I guess that's a better way to put it.
Yeah,
I got no sympathy, no crocodile tears from me for Eric Adams, for Kathy Hochul, for the Illinois governor, for any of these cities. My dear buddy Chris Aquila, they live in Dayton, and she said Dayton, Ohio announced their sanctuary city status. There have been this Athens, actually, if you go back to Lake and Raleigh, the mayor of Athens, Georgia, had just announced, just 2 weeks before this horrendous murder occurred, that Athens, Georgia was a sanctuary city. All you illegals, come in. In my home state of Georgia, and then where I live in Tennessee, I was driving down the road here about a month ago, one of the biggest Catholic churches in my city of Knoxville. I drove by. They had this huge sign out. Illegals welcome here. Immigrants welcome here. Well, I'll tell you what you're doing. You're putting a bullseye on your back for every act of criminal activity. And when you have that happen, don't be blaming Trump. Don't be blaming even the illegals. Tony, you've allowed it to happen. You've brought these people in, and when they kill and rape and maim and assault and steal and kill somebody behind cars because they don't know how to drive and they don't know how to read English, they don't know what a red light is in the country, and they kill innocent kids, and they, look, with Six Flags of Georgia, it's a big amusement park in my hometown of Atlanta, they had to shut the freaking thing down this weekend. You know why? Because illegal gangs were out there shooting at kids. A 15-year-old got shot this weekend at an amusement park. And and my voice is getting a little animated. I look at this crap. This is my nation, man. And the anger is growing. And I think that the fuse is being lit, Tony, for something even bigger. Yeah, I think they want the elections. I'm not sure they just want this thing to go up in smoke and us kill each other. I think that's what they want.
Well, the Cloward and Piven strategy seems like it's in full force. It's coming at all angles. It's coming out from our economy. They're trying to bankrupt us. $33 trillion in debt now, or close to it. the lawlessness, the Soros prosecutors across this country that aren't enforcing the law. They're going after political people.
So true.
They'll go after people who use a gun to defend themselves. They won't go after the criminals. That's purposeful. And I'm seeing it almost on all fronts. So civil war, gosh, I hope not. But the thing is that it's almost like they're trying to get that to happen so that they can claim martial law and bring in their own system of government, collapse the system, overwhelm it to the point where people, to have nothing left, and then reinvent it with their own people. You said something earlier that it was Obama's people. Well, the thing is I believe Obama is behind the scenes.
I do too.
But these like-minded people, and I can't hardly understand how they think. People like Mayorkas, people like some of these government officials that are in these different departments, they're handpicked to be there, not because they have to instruct them every step of the way. They think that way. They think a certain way to where they're going to implement and go along with whatever they already know the plan because it's all in their heads. They're all Cloward and Piven, Saul Alinsky-ites. They know the plan. So when they get in there, these Soros prosecutors and these people get in, they already know what they're going to do. They don't have to be told. It's like Lois Lerner. Lois Lerner didn't have to go in there and be told to go after Tea Party people.
Bingo.
She already knew it.
She already knew it, buddy. You got another cartoon that is very well done. It's about the Ukraine, and I thought this was excellent. I was looking at it. Over 8 million Biden illegals, fentanyl deaths, crime, terrorist threat, national security threat, human trafficking, U.S. southern border, and I would even throw in the Hamas attack on Israel. But yet we're playing the fiddle to the tune of billions to go to a corrupt government that persecutes Christians and lies and bankrupts America for this faux pas Ukraine-Russia war. Both parties, including Speaker Johnson, who should be ashamed of himself for what he's done with the budget on this, they're sending money to Ukraine and playing a fiddle. They're playing the Ukraine fiddle to get our attention off this other stuff, correct?
Absolutely. And I saw a meme not a couple of days ago. It says, if we got the money to send to foreigners, we're paying too much in taxes. I mean, we got the money to give to all these other countries that don't even like us.
That's right.
And maybe we're paying too much in taxes, and they keep talking about pay your fair share, pay your, we're already spending too much money, and then they just got money to throw at these illegals when they come across, give them $5,000 EMT cards, or what do you call them? I don't know what that, food cards or whatever. Give them a place to stay in nice hotels, let them fly anywhere they want. I mean, they're getting I'm surprised some of these homeless vets don't sign up and say that they're from Venezuela or something, and claim some of these EMT cards and housing.
Very well said. You got another, I want to talk about this too, because I thought this was wonderful. The Ayatollah Yi and Biden, we three agree that dictator Trump can't gain power, and you got 10% to the big guy. What's your thoughts? What's been your thoughts on this Hunter Biden joke that he's trying to convince the American public that his daddy would just pick up the phone, okay, during all these business transactions, and Daddy Joe just called me just to check on me to make sure everything's all right. I put him on speakerphone, but he didn't know about any of these business deals.
I had dinner with him. He's had pictures with him. Yeah, this is a joke. And what gets me is the media has lost all credibility on this. Total. They have no credibility on the Hunter Biden and the Biden corruption. You literally, they have not even apologized for all the phony Russia hoax, the Ukraine hoax, the different.
Come on, buddy.
They have not even come clean about that.
Come on.
It's the same thing. The media they are 100%, and I'm talking about CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, all of them, with maybe the exclusion of Fox. I'm not a Fox watcher, but they're all in the tank for the Democrats and Obama. 100%. I don't know how anybody can sit down, even if you're on the left. Let's say you're on the left, you're watching MSNBC. How can you know that you're getting informed? You're not getting informed. And I'm not saying don't watch them, but don't let that be the only thing you watch. Try to get some other viewpoint, because they're 100% left wing. 100%.
But you just hit on the thing that scares me more than any of this up here, because this bothers me. What you portray in your cartoons, it bothers me. I think about it every day. It's why we do the show. We try to keep people informed of what's going on in the country. But you know what we can't escape? And this is not a scold to the audience tonight. I want them to know it's not a scold, because this audience, this is McFiles audience. These folks want the country to go right. Most of them, 99% of them, want the nation to do right. We want closed borders. We want a good economy. We want our families to be safe, etc. There is a populace out there, though, Tony, and you just nailed it. They listen to this garbage. And you've got people in this country, I guarantee you, they listened to that Hunter Biden interview or read that transcript or saw what the media reported it. They believed that crap. They believed Hunter Biden was literally what he said. Well, my daddy just called me out of the blue. He didn't know about these business meetings, and he just called me out of the blue. And you ask some of these liberals, and you ask some of these conservatives even that don't think with this right here, and you say, are you seriously thinking that's true? Oh, of course it is. Of course it is. You right-wingers twist his words. You got a populace out there, Tony, that believes the Ukraine lie. They believe these lies. They believe Iran is a good nation. They believe death to America is a good thing. They believe Joe Biden is not the big guy. They look, 84% of the Dems, they're saying the country's in good shape, brother. Brother, that's not a political problem. That's a spiritual problem, and that's a mental problem of this country. We've lost our cotton picking, as we say in the South. We've lost our cotton picking minds.
Oh,
have we not?
Absolutely. But, you know, the alternative media has really stepped up, and a lot of people, these people don't have the crowds. They don't have the viewers they used to have, and they're losing them all the time. They lost them over and over again, especially with COVID and the Russia thing. Even people that watch them, I don't think instinctively in their hearts believe it's all true. And if you ask them, most people agree that the mainstream media is on the side of the left.
That's very true.
And that survey is more and more people believe that. So there's hope there. But there's also alternative media people throwing around memes and throwing around different articles. People can look stuff up today. You know, if MSNBC or CNN says blah, 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 people can go right on and look it up and find out another side to it if they want to. And I think that's the battle they're having. That's why they want to have this, what do you call, speech police, or they had some kind of government name for it.
Yeah.
To look and I'm lost for words right now for what that would be, the Ministry of Truth.
Ministry of Truth, 1984. Yeah. Hey, you know, I'm glad you brought that up. Look, you're a cartoonist. You would have been, you know, I've seen the movie 1984. It's a graphic movie. It was Richard Burton's last movie, actually, before he died. Yeah. It's a graphic movie, but it's a portrayal of George Orwell's book that basically predicted where we're on the precipice of tonight, a state-run, not just government, but a state-run world where you can't even eat without them telling you what's right or wrong. And the Ministry of Truth determines what's truth and what's not. And Tony, you and I are in the business of the media. And if it wasn't for folks like us and this network and other networks, we're not the only one. There's other people out there trying to tell the truth about stuff, and they're trying to let people think for themselves. But there's a lot of people that ain't. But I'm going to tell you something. We're going to be outlawed before soon.
I just read an article where the deep state and the NSA and all that are thinking of using AI, Track F or something. I didn't know that. I just kind of skimmed the article. It was on Epoch News, which I trust Epoch News to be forthright with their reporting.
The good group.
And what they want to do is they want to use AI. Now we already know how AI could be programmed it's garbage in, garbage out kind of situation. But they want to use AI to monitor and let people have what is true and and disregard whatever isn't true. And you're right. I'm a cartoonist, but I have to pay attention. I have to read, and I have to read both sides a lot of times on issues just to make sure that
exactly.
I'm not overstated. But
Same here.
I'm more of a cartoonist than I am an orator. You know, I'm not a talking head or anything, but I try to get what I'm passionate about when I do an interview like with you, Chris. I try to get what I'm passionate about, what I'm focused on, what my take is verbally on certain issues, and I'm not always the fun-loving.
Not you, Branco. Branco, I can't even imagine you getting upset. You're the nicest guy I've ever met in my life, man.
I'm only funny on paper when I'm drawing. Yeah. So,
they say the same thing about me. I'm a teddy bear. They people out there in the past, I've calmed down a lot. Yeah, you know, this is our 7-year. We're entering our 7th year this month. We've got 6 years in the books, and I joke around with everybody. We practiced for the first 6. Hopefully, by the 7th year, we're going to get this right and sort of hit the even temperament. But I did used to scream a lot, and I laugh about it now. I wasn't, people weren't laughing about it then, and I scared a lot of people off probably. But look, the bottom line is this: if we didn't care about our country, if me and you didn't care, we wouldn't scream. No. If me and you didn't care, we would not say a word. If we didn't care, I wouldn't bring people like you on to give a perspective of truth. And look, I don't even care about parties. We had somebody make a comment here a few weeks ago, and they said, well, Trump is an unfit Republican. And I said, I don't care about him being an unfit Republican. I want him to be a fit American. I could care less about the Republican Party. I don't care about any parties. I hate the Republicans about as much as I hate the Democrats. In fact, probably more because of what they do. And I want to talk about this with you for a few minutes. Have you eaten dinner yet? Can I keep you over for a few minutes tonight? Because I've got some good stuff I want to ask you about this.
Let's see. I got about 10, 15 minutes.
10, 15 minutes. Perfect. I want to talk about this one right here. This is a good... and folks, we'll take your questions. I'll take them after Tony leaves us because I want to keep him over for this. Nikki Haley. I love this cartoon. I was laughing at this today. The GOP voters have sent her a message. I mean, she has gotten her, we call it the clock cleaned. She has got wiped off the planet. She has gotten shellacked. There's other words. Let me just do a little adult talk here. She got her ass kicked in every primary by more than 20 points. Now, look, I'm a political person, and I've done a campaign, and I can tell you, in politics, if you lose by more than 3%, like if 52-48, that's a rout. 53-47, that's a rout. When you look at the numbers and you look at the votes, when you're losing 68-23, okay, let me give Nikki Haley a little advice. That's not a scratch. That is getting your lunch handed to you. I'm giving you all these Southern terms, how we say when you pretty much get your ass kicked in politics. Absolutely. But and then she wins the swamp state Saturday night, and everybody's in her camp is jumping up for joy. I hadn't had a chance to talk to you about this until tonight.
Yeah.
Do you think she was planted by the Dems to just be a thorn in Trump's side? And there's people that disagree on that. There's some people that believe she's a legitimate.
If she wasn't,
but I don't
she
believe
ended
that.
up there. You know, if she wasn't, she ended up there. So she may not have started off her campaign to do that, but eventually she went the path that served her the best, that she could think served her best, which is explains exactly who she is. She's a rhino. She has always been. She's a military industrial complex princess. She's a swamp queen, and I don't know why Trump even had her in his cabinet, but Trump has learned a lot since he was there.
It's a good point. It's a good question.
And I think what is pervasive across our nation, and we have to really understand this, and if you want to understand what's happening in the United States, go read about the Chinese Cultural Revolution, because that is what's happening now. It starts off always in the universities, but it's Marxism, Marxism, Marxism. It's infiltrated in everything. They'll say woke.
Yeah.
It's not woke.
Yeah.
It's communism. It's Marxism. I don't know if you call it communism. It's Marxism.
Marxism.
It's fascism. Wokeism is just another name for what they're trying to do, and it's permeated into our corporate world. It's permeated into our bureaucracies all throughout. It's permeated into our military, industrial complex. It's just homogenous. What's the definition of fascism? It's government and corporations coming together and being controlled by government. That's basically what fascism is, and it's censorship, and it's gun banning, and it's controlling religion. All of this stuff it's kind of a mixture of communism, fascism, Chinese cultural revolution. But people need to understand what's happening, because it's happening right under their nose in a lot of cases. Not this audience; they probably see it.
They see it. I'm with you there. But the part of the country that don't see it, Tony, that is what I go to bed at night praying to God that we fix. Because you see, the fact of the matter is, the country is split down the middle. Whether people want to admit this or not, we are a divided nation tonight. I love that man in the picture, Trump. I don't worship him as God, but I respect him. I appreciate what he's trying to do. I think it's abhorrent, and we haven't even talked about Fannie Willis. We got about 6 minutes, 5 minutes here, 6, 7 minutes, and I want to just briefly discuss this. But I don't believe people understand maybe our memories are short, but the 4 years that he got a lot done, the country was going ballistic. I mean, there were factions in this country that did not want him. They did not want him succeeding. And I don't think they're going to be any different in 2024, 25, 26, the next 4 years when he gets elected. And I believe if the fraud is taken care of, he will rout Joe Biden. He will. But there's a lot of factors that are fighting against him. But let's just, for hypothetical sake, he wins in November. It's not going to be a cakewalk for 4 years. Because you're going to have a country, just like Nikki Haley, that is going to be undermining everything he does out there. And then you got half the country is going to be in this political fog. And you're going to have another half that hates everything he does because of his faith and everything else. So I don't think our country is in a good place to be right now. And I hear him say it sometimes. He says, well, I'm trying to bring the country together. Tony, I'm not sure anybody can other than God himself. And I'm not, again, I'm being realistic tonight. I'm not trying to be pessimistic, but I see this because a righteous leader, I'm not saying that from his moral character. There ain't a president from George Washington to Donald Trump that has been morally pure, and there ain't none of them going to be. I'm talking about the way he rules. He ruled righteously for 4 years. He did righteous things. A righteous leader over an evil, unrighteous people produces rebellion, because that's what the unrighteous will do.
But you still have half the country that's behind him. So
absolutely, you do.
Half of the country that's behind him. Yeah, I think that he's got a tough
road
battle, ahead. Because it's not. This is when he gets in there. That's when all the crazies are going to be initially. You're going to see rioting. You're going to see insurrection put 2020 with all the riots in the street. You're going to see that. They're going to be doing the same thing. Only the Democrats will be saying it's mostly peaceful. Courthouses are going to burn. That's partly what's going to happen. And I kind of lost the words right now about this. It's going to take him putting in people that at the top of these bureaucracies that can go in and weed out some of these people. Even then, I don't see how you can do it in 4 years.
You can't do it in 4
I'm not
years.
trying to be pessimistic. I'm just saying that he has to do it as much as he can in 4 years, and then he has to bring in somebody that can take over for him, and people have to be able to see it. But a lot of the reasons some of the reason that Trump didn't get voted back in there is because they bashed him and bashed him and bashed him, and nobody saw all the great things that he did. They just saw some of the horrible things that the media were saying about him that weren't even true. The Russia thing, all that wasn't true. That's all that a lot of people, because they don't pay attention. I don't know what it is.
Well, you're making my point.
What the media said. So
you're making my point. That's what scares me.
And then they have to. They get the results. They get the higher gas prices, the food costs, the inflation, the open borders, and a lot of people are going by. Wow, things were a lot better when Trump was president. What have we done?
Well, we got 5 minutes, and I want to take these last 5 to ask you a question. And we didn't get to Fannie Willis. I'm going to get you back on in a few weeks because I want to deal with these court cases, because these court cases, you have done a masterful job. I love the fanny pack. I got to show you the fanny pack, but I don't want to ask you about it tonight because it'd probably take us too long to get into it. But I do want to show folks this one with her partner in crime, literally. You aligned bunch of racists. You just aligned bunch of racists. And that money between Nathan and her is called the fanny pack money. But we'll see what the courts do. But I do got a more serious question because we'll deal with Fannie next time.
You got it.
Trump's biggest choice and his biggest decision is yet future and has nothing to do with these court cases. It's the vice president. We know it ain't going to be Pence. You got a cartoon, and you got Larry Elder's picture in the book. Now, Tony Branco, it's an opinion question. If Tony Branco was whispering into President Trump's ear tonight, who does Tony Branco recommend for him to pick as number 2?
Just to be honest with you, I mean, Larry's a good friend of mine. So, I mean, he was instrumental in getting me nationally syndicated.
Wow.
And
good.
We've been friends for a long time. Yeah. And I would think that Larry Elder would be a great advocate. He's so articulate, and the way his mind works and the way his ability to articulate and fine point issues and drive them home is incredible. You know, I wish he would have fought a little harder as trying to run for governor against Newsom, Newscom, or whatever Trump is calling me.
Another cartoon inspirational, Newscom. I like that one.
There you go.
I like that one.
So I would be very happy if Larry Elder were his vice president. But having said that, there's a lot of good choices out there that would be in his corner. They have to be in his corner, and they have to be able to take over
governing if something happens to Trump.
Yeah, and they have to have that same mindset.
Yeah, they do.
What Trump is trying to do, because you get the wrong guy in there. He may seem like he's all on Trump's side because he wants to be vice president, and he's on that, he's right on that Trump train right now. But if he has the power, what is he going to do? Yeah. And I think Trump's a pretty good judge of character. I think he'll find the guy that probably take over if something happened, or if he went after 4 years. So.
Listen, I'm with you. I'm going to just throw a name out. I do not believe in any wild hallucination he goes with Nikki Haley. I just don't think that's going to happen. No. I'm hearing Kristi Noem's name. I heard Greg Abbott's name this weekend on a short list for vice president, and Tim Scott. Now, let's just Tim Scott, Kristi Noem, Greg Abbott. If it's not Larry Elder, which one of those 3 make Tony Branco the most excited and the least excited?
What was my choices again?
Chris McDonald, and Chris McDonald.
Chris McDonald.
Just kidding. Kristi Noem.
I have to have faith in the orange man there.
Yeah, the orange man. Okay, Kristi Noem, Abbott, or Scott?
No, I think it has to be somebody that's fired up, somebody that understands. I don't know. The one guy that I think would be okay would be Vivek. He would. I still have my worries about him though. He's very articulate. I think he would. If he is who he says he is, he'd be great. But that's just the problem. I don't know if he is who he says he is. Yeah. I like a lot of stuff he says, And you know, I like a lot of them. I don't know. I hope he makes the right decision.
I see DeSantis out there. I don't think DeSantis is going to take two. No. I think DeSantis is going to hold his fire to 28. I do not believe DeSantis does anything.
He's a good governor.
He's a good governor. It's good. It's nothing about all these people are good. I'll end it on this. I wish I could keep you over for some questions. I'm going to bring you back on next time, and we're going to talk a little bit less, and then we're going to take questions next go around.
I really appreciate it. Thank you.
I want a couple of weeks. I know your time's you're slipping on us tonight, but I will say this as to your point about VVAC. This is my opinion. Tucker, great guy. VVAC, great guy. Mm-hmm. They're social media darlings. Mm-hmm. And they have a lot of social media pull. But I think that this goes back to what's wrong with our country in general. We are drawn to these social media personalities. Right. And we don't know how they're going to be when they get in that White House and govern. And I think Trump learned that the hard way, Tony, the first time, because he picked a lot of these social media people. If you think about it, Scaramucci, what was the Omarosa? What was her name? I can't remember the lady's name. Remember her? And she turned out to be a traitor. I mean, everybody in that first 2 years that he picked basically took a knife and stabbed him in the back. And if you go back and look at the common denominator and all of those, they were social media darlings. They were people that were on all the platforms. They were out there saying the right thing, and they get in that White House, and you see their true colors. He does not need that. I think he needs to make a safe choice. And as much as people don't like Greg Abbott is not a bad choice. Tim Scott's not a bad choice. I don't know that much about Kristi Noem, but what I've heard about the lady, she's a good governor in South Dakota. Abbott's been a good governor in Texas. Not a perfect governor. All you Abbott haters out there, don't throw your stones. But Tim Scott's been a decent person of South Carolina, and he supported Trump. That's just my take on it. And I'm going to give you the final word. And listen, I'm going to get you back on, not next week, but the next. I'm going to get you back on mid-March because I want us to pick this up because we really didn't finish this tonight. I want to deal with Fanny Pack. We got to deal with Fanny Pack. Don't go nowhere, folks. We're going to take your questions in a minute. But final word, Tony.
I'm not for Tucker Carlson because I love Tucker Carlson right where he is. He does more damage right where he's at. That if you made him vice president, it would take him off the field.
That's true.
He's detrimental to our cause right where he's at. He's Mr. Free Speech. He doesn't care. He says whatever he has to say, whether you agree with it or not. He's out there fighting in the trenches, and his viewership. I mean, he's getting millions. Even he's getting more than Fox gets.
That's true. That's true. So Fox did him a big favor by getting him out there. So that's my thought on Tucker Carlson. Not that he wouldn't be a good vice president, but I like him right where he's at. I like him where he's at. He does more for Trump where he's at. And again, that goes back to these choices. And I just hope that he learned his lesson that just because they're social media darlings are not meaning that they're going to do you right in that White House. Right. I think he learned that lesson the hard way. And he learned a swamp lesson the hard way. You can't bring swamp into D.C. and tell everybody I'm going to drain the swamp when you're bringing swamp with you. It don't work. It don't work.
It's too incestuous there.
That's a great word. I still appreciate the dumbfoolery McDonald cartoon you did. I should have pulled that up tonight that you did. That is the best cartoon I have ever had. You got to do a new one for me in 24. I just got to come up with a weird name. But anyway, hey, buddy, listen, I appreciate you so much. I'll see you in a few weeks.
Yeah, I can't wait to be back on. I really appreciate you having me.
Always a pleasure, Tony. I appreciate you being with me tonight, and I hope that folks enjoy you. Listen, comicallyincorrect.com is his website. Go to his website. He's got some great cartoons, and we'll have you back on. I'm going to take the questions tonight because it's running late. I'll see you again next time in a few weeks, my friend.
Thank you.
Have a good night, Tony.
Have a good night.
Tony Branco, everybody. Put some fire in that house for him. We appreciate Tony being with us tonight, and we're grateful that you're with us as well, and so forth. And I'm going to come back over here. I think it's this screen. Am I on this screen? Maybe this screen. There I am. There I is right there. Good to see everybody tonight, and I hope you enjoyed Tony. He was a very, very good guest, and good stuff tonight. We're grateful. I'm reading some of the comments, and I'm going to address a few of them. I keep hearing Byron Donald's name. Loser. He ain't going to go anywhere. Ben Carson. Nope. Ben Carson ain't going to do nothing. Nope. Nothing against you folks that putting those endings, their names in there. Neither one of them will do anything for Trump, and he will not pick them. They're not even on his short list. DeSantis is not on his list. Ramaswamy, I think he's already said that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. I think the three names we mentioned, that's the three names I heard this weekend. That was basically the three that he is really looking at hard, and that is Greg Abbott, Tim Scott, and Kristi Noem. Now, I don't know if any of those are going to wind up being his. We'll have to wait and see. And I think tomorrow is a big day. I didn't ask Tony about this, about Nikki Haley. I think it's going to be interesting to see if she quits tomorrow, because tomorrow is Super Tuesday around the country, and I've already checked my voting place. Chris will be out there voting, and I never tell you to do something that Chris ain't going to do himself. So I'm going to be out there tomorrow afternoon in my precinct, and I'm going to be voting in Super Tuesday. And depending on the time of the show in November, I may even volunteer at my precinct come November. But it had to be a day shift, because I got to come do the McFiles election night. Now, tomorrow night, Magdalene Rose, God bless her heart, she prayed for her tonight. She had a little procedure done. Everything's fine. She's not going to be able to be with me tomorrow night as planned. But Marie Miller will be with me at 9 o'clock to sort of co-host the desk with me. We'll be looking at the results. I don't think these results are going to take long tomorrow night. I think it's going to be a Trump rout. And look, Biden's going to carry the Dems. There ain't going to be many surprises. I don't think there's going to be any surprises tomorrow night. There ain't nobody that got shocked that Nikki Haley won D.C. The D.C. swamp wants Nikki Haley. I mean, that's as evident as can be. And we sit here as Trump supporters and we just laugh at that. No big deal. So we'll be done with this over. But James R., he's got a Tuesday show, but he's going to jump into the fray around 10 o'clock tomorrow night. We're going to only go about an hour and a half tomorrow, 9 to 10:30, which we normally do. So we should be finished with all this. And so forth. Corey's asking the question. She says, is this cartoons made to sway the left toward common sense thinking? I can't speak for Tony, but Corey, I think that I don't know if he's trying to sway him. I think Tony enjoys making him think. Sway him, I don't think they're going to be swayed by his cartoons. But I do believe Tony's like me. He likes prodding a little bit. And I think he likes the reaction, because he gets reactions. He does. I mean, Tony's been yanked off channels and told he can't do stuff, but he's an award-winning cartoonist. He's done a doggone good living at it. He's got some books out, and some respected international magazines carry his work. We're honored. This is a big deal when we have Tony Branco on. He's a major league hitter, and you can tell the interviews always flow perfect with him when he's on. But I don't know if it's so much to sway him. I think bench slapped. Why didn't I think of that? That would have been the perfect title tonight. SCOTUS bench slaps liberals. That's going to be out tomorrow, so I can't wait to see that one. And anyway, there is no common sense on the left, Corey. I'll just say that. There ain't no common sense. There ain't no common sense. There ain't no common sense. Alrighty. Let's see here. And Becky says, I don't want no woman for vice president. Well, Beck, take it up with Trump. That's up to him. That's up to him. That's up to him. The common conventional wisdom is that he's leaning toward Kristi Noem. Now, I don't know if he's going to do that. There was even a wild rumor it was nothing to it. There was even a wild rumor he had thought about, not Ivanka, but what's the daughter? Well, it is Ivanka. Jared, yeah, the daughter. But I don't think that's going to fly. That was just a wild internet rumor that was floating around there. There's all sorts of rumors floating around the internet these days, and it's best not to listen to the internet. But I don't know what he's going to do, Becky. But again, that's your opinion, and that's fine. You're entitled to that. I don't have an issue with that as much. I just want somebody in there that, should they be called on to run the country, that they're capable and qualified. And Kristi Noem has showed herself capable and qualified. South Dakota is one of the better states of the Union. She is an executive, and she has run that. State very well. Another question: did you say that the governor threw out the idea of furloughing American jobs to put illegals on the payroll? Where is the outrage from Amy Miller? Amy, I didn't hear that. I did hear that the Attorney General, or the lady that was over elections in Colorado, was having a total, complete psychological, mental, and emotional meltdown this afternoon when the Supreme Court decision came in. But this don't surprise me. Look, Colorado was one of the first states to legalize marijuana. Colorado is not a red state anymore. It used to be purple. It used to go back and forth. It is all blue now. It is all blue. And the outrage, there will be no outrage about what you just said. There will be none. There ain't none. And that's sort of what I was trying to say with Branco tonight. Look, folks, all this stuff that we're talking about, it disturbs me. It does. It should disturb all of us. And I know it does. This is a good audience. Y'all are a beautiful audience. Y'all are a patriotic audience. You love this country. You just want to see what's good for the country. And that we all can look at that together. We may have different perspective on that. We may have difference of opinion on that. But our focus in this network, and the folks that listen to this network, for the most part, they just want to see America succeed. They just want to see our country do right. We may look at it differently, but our goal is the same. There's an element in this country, folks, that does not want that. They hate their country. They hate America. And they don't want that. Colorado's a state that don't want that. So, basically furloughing American jobs to these illegals. And Amy, buddy, you know that, and I know that in a blue state like that, most of the liberals in Colorado think that's a great idea. So there won't be no outrage. The outrage will come from outside, but that governor is a governor, and that's why elections matter. If the people of Colorado put that governor over them, and she does that, or he does that, or I don't know who even the governor of Colorado is, they get what they deserve. They get what they deserve. Just like this nation, if we don't go vote and make sure that President Trump gets in that office and Joe Biden gets another 4 years, we drink the cup we make. We eat the cake that we make. And I know I can hear the echo already out there. Well, I ain't going to make that cake. We didn't make that cake. We didn't do this. We didn't do that. Well, okay. But if the country as a whole does, folks, then we all going to have to eat it, whether it was our decision or not. This is a republic. This is not a democracy. This is a constitutional republic. We, the people, have a say. And if we, the people, and this is what I've been trying to say all night with Tony, and folks, ultimately, this is what I was trying to get across to Tony and the audience tonight. That's what concerns me. It ain't these liberal, dumb, you-know-whats that are in office. They bother me. But what bothers me more are the people that put them there. Folks, there's a part of this nation, whether we want to admit it or not, and I keep seeing these comments, well, God's going to fix this. God's going to fix this. God cannot fix free will. I don't know where and what part of that we don't get as an American populace and church people especially. And folks, I'm a man of faith. I'm not saying this sacrilegiously tonight. I'm a man of faith. But I understand the dynamics of nations. I've studied this through the course of 3 decades in Bible prophecy and watched these empires and how God dealt with them in the past how he deals with them in the present, and how he always will deal with them in the future. And I'm going to tell you, not one of those empires did God override the will of those empires. They all chose the path they chose. We're no different. We're no different as a country. Now, you can sit out there and say, well, if God sprinkles pixie dust all over the American landscape, that everybody will just fall down and do right. That's not how God works. God gives man the choice. He gives nations a choice on what path we want to take. And folks, the number of people in this country that ultimately want to take this country over, and the ones that don't, it really comes down to us and how we do it, and how we handle as a remnant, how we intercede and pray for this country, how we get involved in our nation. And that's all we ultimately can do, and leave the rest to God. That's all but this idea that there's going to be some magical pixie dust, it ain't going to happen. And I see Ben Carson's name again. I see Ben Carson's name again. And I don't want to be, I'm not unkind. Ben Carson is not going to be the VP. There's no energy there. Ben Carson's a good man. I like Ben Carson. He served President Trump well. I've got no doubt that he will be in a second Trump administration somewhere, but he's not going to be VP. And he would not make a good VP, because Trump's going to need somebody that's got energy. They've got a governing part of them. Abbott has governed a state. Noam has governed a state. Tim Scott has served in the Senate, and he's been involved deeply in South Carolina politics. He knows how to run things. So Ben Carson has done some good things. Governing is a different issue than being Ben Carson. And it's nothing against Ben Carson. I like Ben Carson. Nothing personal. But he's not going to be the VP. He's not going to be the VP. And I don't think he would make a good one. That's just Chris's opinion. Free will. That's it. Jenna, you say Jared Poles is our governor. Where's that at? You don't tell me where that's at. I don't know who Jared Poles is. But anyway, let's see here. Micah, you say they want to put the illegals in our houses. Squatter laws getting very loose. Mecca, that's old news. That's been going on for a long time. The media is just now picking that up. But you're right. You're right. Any other questions real quick, folks? Tony says her vote's for me. What would I think of Vivek? Vivek, I just told you. We told Tony this. He's a social media. I don't think Vivek would make a good VP. He's a good spokesman for Trump, and he's a big social media hit. I don't think he'd make a good VP. I don't think he'd make a good VP. He's not governed. Governing, folks. Governing. Trump found out the hard way. Look, just remember what happened to him, folks. Just think about what happened to him the first go around. A lot of those people he brought in were social media darlings. And we were all excited on the right. Woo! Woo! They're in the White House. Woo! Every single one of them, to a person, stuck a knife 2,500 feet up Trump's back when it counted. He don't need that this time. He needs to make smart decisions. Government people, not swamp people, but people that know how to govern. That know how to govern and don't just know how to talk. That's my thoughts. Colorado is the state of that governor earlier mentioned. Okay, so Jason Poles, Jenna, is Colorado's governor. My apologies. And that makes sense then. If what you said is true, and I don't doubt it is, Jenna, that would make sense why he would want to furlough jobs to illegals. And I didn't know he was the first openly gay governor. I did not know that. I guess Chris should keep up with who the governors are a little bit better, so I would not seem stupid on my own show. But thank you. But I think Amy Miller's point about where's the outrage, there is not going to be any outrage about that because it's a blue state. Colorado has gone fully blue. I mean, if it's... when you tell somebody in Colorado, the Denver thing, I don't try to make light of this. I shouldn't laugh at this. But Denver is called the Mile High City, okay? And the big joke is, are you high in Colorado? Because that's the whole, when you go to play baseball in Denver, baseball teams love to play Colorado because the baseball sell out of the park quicker than any other state because the air is so thin. And my brother used to live in New Mexico, and when I went to visit him, it would take my breath because he was so high up, and the air is so different in the mountains down there in the Rockies and the North New Mexico mountains. But when you say in Colorado, the Mile High City in Denver, it takes on a whole new meaning these days because half the freaking state's high because they do weed because they legalized it. And I shouldn't laugh about it, but it's the truth. It's the truth. Thank you, Jenna. Altitude or drug high, you never know with the people here anymore. That's my point. That's my point. Oh, that is my point. Margie says, so is Utah and Idaho going blue with the rhinos? Yeah, Marge, I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that. Dennis Floyd says, I think VVAC will have a place in the administration, but not VP. Dennis, you know, he might. And I have a bad feeling. Look, there was just something about VVAC. It's almost like, I don't know. I guess it's the cynic in me. When somebody's too good to be true and they're saying all the right things and they're smiling and everybody's fawning over them and they're a media darling, it don't do nothing for me. I think we've seen this movie before, and I think we've watched this play out before. And again, I hope, folks, and pray tonight. I do. I really do. I mean this very seriously. I just pray President Trump has learned lessons from 2016 to 2020, and in 24 he don't repeat the same mistakes. He made mistakes. I know it's a crime for some people to say that out there. They think you're trashing and betraying them to say that. I'm not betraying the president, folks. It's time we wake up to the fact he's a man and he's human. And you know, I'm reading a book called The Political Seduction of the Church. It's not a bad book. I don't agree with everything in it. As I close tonight, and Cleo's message about voting, she don't live here. Cleo's from down under. She's in Australia. And she says, please vote because it affects all nations. Our choices here in America affect the world still. It may not one day, but as of now, tonight, in 2024, on the 4th day of March, 3424, it affects the world. How we handle our business in this nation, it ripples all over the globe. And she's absolutely right. That's why we must vote. We must vote. We must vote. I don't agree with everything in this book called The Political Seduction of the Church, but I do agree with this. The church at large in America was seduced by a political narrative, and we lost our message of faith in doing it, and we lost our faith in doing it, and we began to put our faith in politicians and a politician. And we did, folks. We did. Your host did it. I didn't realize I did it till after it was all over with, and I was driving home in tears in the winter of 21, and not knowing I was going to face the toughest year physically I'd ever faced in my life, and not knowing the things that were coming, and not knowing where this country was going to go, and the Lord having to do some not shaking in my own heart. We all did it. We all did it. And we need to be very careful about doing it again. We need to realize that there's more at stake here than Donald Trump. Donald Trump will only be in this office for 4 years, even if he gets elected for 4 years. He cannot correct everything that's got to be corrected. The only people that ultimately can do that, I'm talking to all of you tonight, and me included, we the people. We the people. We the people. We the people. I remember Abraham Lincoln saying it when he was trying to form a more perfect union in the ashes and the rubbish of a civil war that liked to tore at this country and almost destroyed this country. By the way, it's no coincidence that our civil war took place right before the Great Awakening revival. Satan tried to snuff out the greatest spiritual move of God this country had ever seen at the turn of the 20th century, or the 19th, 18th century, 20th century, whenever. Right before that, we almost destroyed ourselves by civil war. We're on that precipice tonight. It's time we look up. Up. Not to a man, but to God. Again, afresh. And our faith, whether Joe Biden gets in that White House and whether Donald Trump gets in that White House, our faith shouldn't change. It shouldn't change us as Christians. We should be the same people, the same belief system, the same Jesus, the same God, Father, same Jesus the Son, same Holy Spirit, same faith that we teach, same faith we believe. It should not be altered by that person in that White House. But this is why we vote. To be able to exercise that faith freely. A lot will depend on who's in that White House, as we're finding out. Because they are currently trying to eradicate faith in this nation. So that's why we as faith people, we get out and we vote for leaders that we know and hope will fight for freedom and fight for the babies and fight for righteousness and fight for this nation to be in right standing with God. They cannot do it for us, but they can lead. That's all they ultimately can do. It still comes back down to the people. And when Abraham did that famous speech in Gettysburg, he said, may God give us a government for the people, of the people, and by the people. And folks, that is what we have always been fighting for on this network. That's what the founding fathers ultimately fought for. That's why we fought a Revolutionary War. That's why the Civil War was fought. Abraham saw an evil in slavery. He said, we cannot have a union where people are being subverted to slavery. He said, I don't care if it tore the country in two. He was willing to tear the country in two to fight and stand up to evil for the people's sake. We got to return to that. We got to return to that. And all the pixie dust in the world that the church thinks it can throw out there and fix it. It can't fix that. It starts with the hearts of this nation. It starts with the hearts of all of us. And that's my final thought tonight. It's 10:30, and I love you. I'll see you tomorrow night at 9 o'clock for election coverage. No, it'll be Marie Miller, James R. We may get a few other surprise guests on. Jennifer Harris may join us at some point tomorrow night. So that's all we got. Now, in the morning on our Faith Network, we have a morning Bible study. Join us over there on the Faith. We hope you enjoyed Tony Branco tonight. I sure did. And he did a great job, didn't he? And if you enjoyed him, put some fire in that house. McFiles Forum, gmail.com. If you got a question, comment, whatever you want to send to us right there. We'll be glad to listen to it. But may the Lord bless you tonight. Hope you enjoyed the show. I will see you again tomorrow. Wednesday night, we may have Josh Rosenstern. I'm waiting to get an okay on that. And then Thursday, who do I got Thursday? I don't know yet. Somebody will be here. Somebody will be here. I'll be here. Hope you will be too. Because we're going to have a full week of shows. Listen, I love you. Have a good night, everybody. If you enjoyed the show, put some fire in that house for me. We're grateful that you've been with me. And may the Lord bless you. And folks, understand these opinions are mine. These opinions are mine. They're opinions of the McFiles. We don't fault you for not having the same opinion. We love you. We're all in this together. We're one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That includes you. And that includes me tonight. I want to remind you about our friends at Who's Your Warrior Coffee. My dear friend Natalie Corvin. Such a sweet friend, sweet lady, sweet family. Her and Chris are precious. Please support the McFiles while you're drinking some great coffee. Their coffee's roasted and shipped once an order is placed through the website. This ensures our customers receive the freshest coffee, and a portion of every sale using the below link or QR code will be sent to the McFiles to help make a difference as we carry on this fight through this year as we get into the election year. Who'sYourWarriorCoffee.com/McFiles. Who's Your Warrior Coffee is a combat veteran-owned coffee company in Brownsburg, Indiana. I'm going to push this up a little bit. If you'd like to just scan that code with your phone, that'll take you to the website, take you right to that website there. But if you'd like to put that website in, who'syourwarriorcoffee.com/MacFiles. Thank you all for supporting our network, both financially with your giving and also with your presence tonight. And may the Lord bless you on this 4th day of March, 2024, 3424. Our prayers for all of you, and may God bless this country, God bless your families, and God bless this great nation of America. Until tomorrow, have a good night, everybody. Be blessed.